Squad. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
And today, Eric and I are going to discuss the Suicide Squad casting, and we're going to talk a little bit about what we think might be going on with the Suicide Squad, or what we would like to see with Suicide Squad. We're going to do another speculation video, and I decided to hold off talking about this until I could talk to Eric, because Eric put up a Facebook post the day that this news came out, and was like, oh man, the Will Smith casting. So I was like, you know what, we should talk about it together. This might be kind of fun. And Eric's been a little bit out of pocket lately on other videos, so we thought it would be fun to get together and do this for you. So anyway, today, talking about Suicide Squad, let's just start off, Eric, by going down the list of all of the folks that have already been cast, confirmed cast, and then...
It's a small cast, actually. It's only like 5 people.
It is so far, and I guess the question is, could this roster get bigger? We haven't really been told if... there could be, I kind of doubt it.
I feel like it's better if it stays a little bit smaller and you can develop each of the characters more.
So, Eric, let me ask you this. Do you think it's kind of an odd selection of characters? I mean, there's a couple people on here that you would definitely expect to see, obviously. Deadshot, yeah. Was not surprised to see Harley Quinn at all. But are there people that you kind of figured we would see that you're surprised not to see?
I mean, Sergeant Flag was kind of the leader of the classic. Like, I think him and Deadshot are the only characters that persist through all iterations in the original run. He is the team leader. And I don't think Tom Hardy's bad casting for that, but I guess we'll get that.
Yeah.
But I've been hearing... I actually think this is the first thing DC's actually delivered on, because I feel like 5 years ago I heard they were doing a Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, they're not. But... leading up to this announcement, I had heard rumors that the Joker and Harley Quinn were going to be in Suicide Squad. So I was less surprised by the Joker being in Suicide Squad than maybe I would have been.
Yeah.
But I think they really want to get a Joker out there and just didn't put him in Batman Superman and don't know where else to put him. I feel like this is really just an excuse to give us a Joker before the Batman movie.
I somewhat disagree, but I guess we'll have to see. The first place my mind went was... we gotta have Joker, or it will be harder to introduce Harley Quinn. Like, we really want Harley Quinn. We really want Harley Quinn in this.
This is her first film appearance, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and she is like the big female selling character for DC. Like, they are smart to try to get her in somewhere at some point. Some of this seems a little bit counterintuitive to me, of course. Like, let's do Suicide Squad third. What a weird choice, and let's do all these villains before they fight superheroes.
Yeah, it wasn't Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, then Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, or even then say like a Loki movie or something, like before he's in Thor.
Or
like
the Thunderbolts, yeah.
Yeah, like what this is let's introduce all these villains, and maybe then we'll use them in places later on. Although Lex Luthor could potentially be somewhat of a stepping stone to this, since there's rumors that he could end up being in the film. So I guess we'll see.
And of course, I mean, outside of Joker and Harley Quinn, none of these characters are really especially associated with other superheroes.
That's a really good point, and so they don't have to... Yeah, because that could have been somewhat of a problem, right? If you introduced too many of other characters like arch nemeses before we get to see them.
Looking at like Sinestro and Gorilla Grodd and characters like that.
Or Black Manta, who I thought we might see in this. Yeah. So I guess that's good. My big question is going off of, like I said, I think the real reason Joker is in this is possibly just to have an excuse to get her, or not an excuse, but so that we can do Harley Quinn without having to be like, and here's Harley Quinn, and she's randomly here, and she's not related to the Joker at all. I don't know, just because he has been cast already and put in this cast, that we can be 100% sure that in the story he's part of the Suicide Squad.
You know, I was actually just thinking about that as you were saying that he has to be there for Harley to be there.
Yeah.
I was thinking, maybe he's just in like some setup scenes at the beginning.
Yeah, maybe that's just the way they're going to introduce the Joker, and he's not going to be in a ton of it. Although,
to be fair, we have had no announcements on anybody in this cast actually being in the squad.
No.
Or being a villain. We don't know if any of these characters are the villain of the piece or who the villain might be.
We don't. Now, when you get something like this, when they go, okay, we're doing this team movie, and here are all these characters, immediately everybody's going to assume that they're all part of the Squad. And I don't know if the way Warner Brothers seems to be doing their films, we just don't know a lot yet because we've been hearing a lot of news, but we've only seen one movie so far. With the way they seem to be doing stuff, it's hard to know if they would be smart enough to do something as subtle as, let's establish the Joker but not make him the big thing of the whole movie. Like, do we really trust that they could do something that? I think that could be cool. Yeah.
Deadshot indicates they're not making the Joker the star of this movie.
I'm not saying the star, but he could end up being like the villain, right? Like it could be. I mean, obviously they're all villains, but couldn't it be like he's supposed to be on the Squad and then he goes rogue?
He's gonna make a live action version of Assault on Arkham.
Maybe he figures out a way to like maybe he has the chip in his in the back of his skull and he figures out a way to get it out and then he goes against the Suicide Squad or something. But who knows? Let's go ahead and start and talk about casting and start there. I think Jared Leto's perfect. I'm glad we're doing that.
Well, when the rumor first started, I was like, that's inspired casting. Like, that's outside the box. That's exactly the kind of casting you need for the Joker. And for people to, like, kind of be able to accept it after Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if this had been anybody bigger, it would have been like, oh, really? But, like, Jared Leto's just, like, the guy who shows up and, like, wins Oscars.
Yeah. Yeah, or on the other end, if they had picked somebody who wasn't very well known at all and people were just not confident about it. I mean,
kind of like Heath Ledger when he was cast.
The Joker is a little bit of a sticky kind of character where people just have certain expectations and love that character so much. Now, I do think that you could certainly cast a nobody, but I think Jared Leto gives them more credibility with this movie. Like, I think instantly it's going to do better just because he's the guy they went with. And you know what I didn't know before? I heard after seeing this casting that he was a bunch of people's first choice when Ledger got picked, and a bunch of people were upset that Ledger got it over him. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. No, the person I always heard was Adam Brody. That was the guy I always heard. Was that Adam Brody? Something Brody.
I don't remember.
Okay, that was the person that I always heard. But no, and I think that what's great about him is that he has that kind of like when Christian Bale got cast as Batman.
Yeah. He
wasn't a household name, but he'd done enough that you could point to and be like, no, this guy's done a lot of really good stuff before.
Yeah, I
think that's really the strength of his cast.
Yeah, it gives him credibility because it doesn't even matter so much that he looks the part, though he certainly looks like someone who could pull that off.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's just, he's got acting chops. We know that we're getting people that have skills, and it's not just stunt casting. So when you put Will Smith in there and everybody goes, stunt casting, but then at the same time you go Jared Leto, it makes me kind of wonder if maybe there's a little bit more of a strategy there with Will Smith that I'm not even thinking of. You know what I mean? That, like, maybe for whatever vision they have for that, I don't know, it's just I can't help but almost want to give them a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt just because they were cool enough to go with Jared Leto. Now, I don't know that actor that well.
I don't either.
I didn't see Dallas Buyers Club, but when I found out about this, I went and looked at some clips of that, and I went, that's really interesting casting. Here's my question. Do you think that casting Jared Leto might be a tell that they're not just going with Dark Knight Returns Batman, but they're going with Dark Knight Returns Joker?
It's possible.
Or something, or like something more akin to that like maybe that's the direction they're thinking, because Jared Leto's known for a couple of sort of effeminate roles, and the Joker in Dark Knight in Dark Knight Returns, as you talked about a lot when we reviewed that movie, has kind of some like homosexual undertones and stuff. Might that be the reason they cast him?
It'll be really interesting if that is the choice, if that is the take they choose to go with in the Joker.
Yeah.
But I think that's possible. But I also think that Joker kind of has that in general. He has that kind of like asexuality to him.
Sure.
That he can do something that's kind of effeminate and then go and do something that's not.
Well, one of the things I've always loved about Joker's relationship and a lot of things with Harley Quinn is that he does seem so asexual. And she's, like, really super attractive and always flaunting herself on him, and he doesn't... It's ambiguous a lot of the time, especially in the animated series, where you can't even tell if he has any interest in...
Right.
In that at all. And I think... Like, so I'm kind of hoping that maybe they do that kind of thing in the movie, where they're not just straight up, obviously an item.
Right. Yeah, well, I've got to assume that if you're doing a movie, she's probably going to sleep with somebody else and make tension. Or somebody's going to make like cat noise at her and Joker gets angry. Something like that. I feel like it's a bunch of bad guys. Like something like that's going to happen.
Well, if this were Arrow, we could be absolutely positive that's what they would be doing.
Well,
but
it's like in that episode of the animated series where Harley goes to that club. I think it's the episode where Harley and Batman team up. And Harley goes to that club and like somebody says something kind of like sleazy to her, like whistles at her, and so it's like, whoa, man, that's the Joker's girlfriend.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And yet they're still always ambiguous about how much of a girlfriend she really is.
Yeah, well, that's one of the biggest problems when they brought it into the comics is they like immediately broke them up and made her have no reason to exist. So
yeah. Okay, let's go straight on to Will Smith. Now, your immediate reaction to Facebook was, that's a bad choice. Do you still feel that way, and why?
It's not that Will Smith's a bad actor. I looking at this lineup of characters, I don't know why he wasn't Captain Boomerang. I feel like he fits that better.
Why do you say that?
Because Captain Boomerang's like kind of jokey and like I don't know, like maybe like a little bit incompetent, and I could see him playing that up. Like I could see Captain Boomerang kind of being like Jay in the first Men in Black.
You know what's really funny now that you're saying that? You haven't seen Boomerang in Flash yet.
Is he super cool?
In Arrow, and I guess he was in the Arrow episode. Yeah, he's the exact opposite of that. He's totally no nonsense. He's like really badass. Yeah.
Well, I kind of think of him. He's really kind of like a lovable loser in the Suicide Squad comics.
Yeah.
But he's also kind of like that in Identity Crisis and in that brief post-Flash Rebirth Jeff Johns run before the Flashpoint stuff.
Yeah.
He's like that there too.
But
that's kind of what I see him as.
Yeah, but I think we should probably expect something a lot more close to a like badassery version in this, because I don't see them doing that kind of stuff in this continuity where they want everything like this super serious tone and stuff, right? Like
where there's been rumors that there is a no joke
policy. The most counterintuitive thing I can think of ever is now we don't know if the no joke policy thing is actually really a real policy, but the fact that it even came up tells you the tone that they continue to maybe be going with these movies. Now, the little teaser trailer that we saw for Superman versus Batman, Batman versus Superman. I always forget which one's first. Batman versus Superman. From Comic-Con.
Well, it's Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Yeah. Thank you. That we saw from Comic-Con looked a lot more stylized, but still like really heavy, probably serious kind of tone. The most counterintuitive thing in the world I can think of is let's do Suicide Squad third. Because usually you would expect Suicide Squad to be a like dark humor, but still humorous, somewhat absurdist kind of piece. This isn't going to be like that, or maybe it will, but I doubt it.
Bad guys teaming up together.
Yeah.
Half of the fun is the jokes they make at each other, or pressing each other's buttons, or getting into dark, wacky hijinks. Like,
I mean, if everybody is as no nonsense as General Zod was in Man of Steel, I don't see how this movie is any fun. I don't want to jump the gun and
Superman just comes in, just cracks everybody's neck.
Yeah, well, so all 6 of them, or however many there are, like the entire team, all of them have one person that they want really, really badly to go find, and it's all, I will find him, her, it. And just all at the same time, like all those people at the same time say, "I will find him, her, it," like simultaneously.
So with Will Smith, the thing is, it's not that he's not a good actor, because he is a good actor.
Yeah.
And it's not that I can only see him in comedic roles. I've seen him in a lot of serious roles and doing a really good job. The one thing I have never seen him do is be dark. I've seen him play tragic and sad, but I've never seen him play a character that really has a darkness to them. Yeah. At least not well, because he kind of plays that in After Earth. And you need that. Like, I mean, the entire defining characteristic of Deadshot in the comics is that he is someone who does not think he deserves to live and is reckless and takes risks because he's kind of hoping he gets killed. I don't see Will Smith being able to play a character like that. Or at least I've never seen him play a character with a kind of internal darkness like that. And I'm worried that we're just going to get... It's like when you hear that Will Smith was offered Neo in The Matrix, and he turned it down because they wouldn't rewrite it to be more jokey. He wanted Neo to be like making Will Smith jokes. I don't need that for...
Then one of two things has happened. Either he has grown out of that, or Warner Brothers has really changed their tune on what they're doing with these movies.
Or someone went to Will Smith and was like, hey, do you realize that for the past 10 years, all of your movies have flopped and nobody noticed, and we just kept making them?
Yeah, and that you have the chance of being... Now, this is overstating things. I almost said, like, the Robert Downey of the DC movies, but you know, big name attached to a superhero movie is kind of like a ticket right now. You know what I mean? Like, if it's successful, you not only get a lot of work after that much of the time, but it kind of gives you the option to do a whole bunch of other... But the problem is Will Smith is so big, I don't know why he couldn't just do whatever he really wanted to.
But
so.
Is he still... Like, I feel like he's big name recognition. When was the last time Will Smith did a movie that everyone loved?
Yeah, like, and what was the last star vehicle for Will Smith, right? Like the big, okay, we just cast him because he has big money, like...
After Earth.
But that anybody went and saw, like I don't know, was it iRobot? Was that the last one?
I saw iRobot in theaters. I was on a date, man.
Good for you.
Well, and I think part of it is also Will Smith has done a tremendous amount of detriment to himself with his children and how he's pushed his children on people. And it's really turned people against Will Smith.
Yeah.
Because they don't like his kids. And the second I heard he was cast as Deadshot, I'm like, oh, well, his daughter's playing Floyd's daughter. Like, that's going to happen.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought of that. That's good, yeah.
So, I don't even necessarily have a problem with that. His kids aren't like super good at doing the things that he does, but he keeps pushing them to do them, and I think that's going to hurt his public image a little bit. So I don't know. I think he's the wrong guy. I don't think he's a bad actor. I don't even think he shouldn't be in this movie. I just think he's wrong for that character.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting choice. I mean, like I said, I keep throwing around the word counterintuitive. It's counterintuitive. I wouldn't have expected that. But obviously, the casting... like the issues Man of Steel had, and of course, as I always say, I like that movie more than a lot of people do, but like,
yeah, me too.
The issues that movie had were not because of casting choices, and I really like and I still really like the idea of Ben Affleck as Batman, or at least I'm very interested to see what that's like.
That's the thing I'm most excited for.
I was not one of the naysayers about Ben Affleck, so I feel like it would be disingenuous.
Like Daredevil.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it would be disingenuous for me to immediately go, Will Smith, he doesn't look like Deadshot, he's not... But the other thing, too, is, you're a Deadshot fan, and the only things that I know about the character are from Arrow and things you've told me, because you and I have had conversations about it.
Well, the one thing I do know is that Will Smith can do a rockin' mustache, so, like...
okay, all right, well,
I will be angry if he doesn't have a mustache, because I know Will Smith can pull that off.
Anything else you wanted to say about that?
No, I don't.
We'll see what it's like. I'm very curious about it. I'm very curious about it.
I feel like that's the wrong person, but I don't know who the right person is.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
20 years ago, I would say Carrie Elways, but like nowadays, like I have no idea who.
Well, and you also don't know what version they're doing, because when you adapt things, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
So Tom Hardy is Rick Flag. Once again, a character I don't know anything about.
That seems fine. I feel like I don't actually know Tom Hardy as an actor that well. Like, I saw him in Inception. I saw him as Bane. I don't think he was bad. Like, everything wrong with Bane is not Tom Hardy's fault. I think he does a good job physically in that film.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, he was like, are you sure we want to do this voice? And he's like, well, the Joker voice is kind of silly when you think about it. Like, I'm sure everybody will like this voice. Like, I think everything wrong with Bane is script things. Like, it's not Tom Hardy himself.
I'm not worried about Tom Hardy as an actor. I think he's a good actor. My response to this, and of course, like.
Are you just talking about him just being in another DC movie really quickly?
Well, no. What I was going to say is like I've come around a little bit on the portrayal of Bane in that movie, regardless of issues I had with the script writing of it, and the fact that when I first saw it, I was in a theater with blown out speakers, so I couldn't understand 50% of what he was saying. My thing is, I looked at this cast and I went, I kind of wish Tom Hardy could just play Bane again.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
It would be a different version. You couldn't expect that, but I guess the issue I'm having, and this is all neither here nor there because that's a cat. This is all my cat. What do you think about Tom Hardy as Rick Flag? This is all neither here nor there because at the end of Dark Knight Rises, spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't seen that film, and Bane does die. So
he gets shot. We don't see him again.
Well, I guess we don't really. Yeah, we don't really know.
Away.
I saw Man of Steel and said, I don't understand why this couldn't be in the Dark Knight universe. And when I see Tom Hardy in another DC movie after we have rebooted, and it still feels like the same tone we had with the Dark Knight movies, except now it's less grounded just because there's aliens. Yeah, I kind of wish Tom Hardy was just playing Bane again. I don't know. I have a really hard time. I have a hard time not feeling that way. But
anything about like, well, we couldn't have like aliens and stuff in the Dark Knight is. All goes out the window with Rises. Because Rises did that big popcorn movie thing. Man of Steel can totally exist in the same universe as Rises.
I think so,
You're
too.
right. I didn't think of that. It would have been interesting if he'd come back as Bane.
Yeah, I think that would have been really cool. I can't expect that. That's wishful thinking. That would never have happened. All I'm saying is, I don't have a problem with Tom Hardy being in this just because he's played a character before. I know 5 years ago me used to say things like, "Oh, cast somebody that hasn't gotten a chance to play a superhero yet, or even a supervillain, or a major character in these movies." The difference then and now, the difference between me back then and me now is that back then we hadn't had as many of these, and they come out all the time now. There are plenty of opportunities for people to play superhero characters now. There's just tons of them.
And I think he's right for the character, or at least I think I can see him doing a good job.
You can see it, and the other thing I was going to say is these. Now I can't. I'm sorry. I had a thing and I can't remember what it was now. That's all right. But anyway, no, I don't really have. He's a good actor. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what it was. The other thing is, every time I have in the past said, "Oh, they've gotten to play one before. Don't do it. Don't have the try somebody else out." It seems like, especially with the Marvel movies, they've always been the right person for the role. Like Chris Evans is the right person for Captain America. I was somewhat of a naysayer when we first found out he was playing it, just because
I was too.
Just because I was like, Human Torch. He doesn't look big enough. He's always played comedic roles.
I'd never seen him play a character that wasn't jokey.
Yeah, exactly. And then we saw it, and now I can't imagine anybody else in the role. So I might feel like, Eric, that nobody else in the world could play Rick Flag.
So you're gonna be really upset after Civil War when they kill Captain America, and then Infinity War when they bring him back and he's played by Tom Hardy. That's gonna bug
that
you.
Might bug me just a little bit. Yeah, I just don't know if the guy that played Shinzon should play Captain America. Yeah.
Oh man, what if he was cast as Professor X in First Class?
That would I will accept him playing a clone of Professor X in the current X-Men movie. I would accept that. I would be okay with Tom Hardy Onslaught. If for some reason we felt like we had to recast McAvoy just because it's Onslaught. I'm just kidding. Anyway, but yeah. So now Tom Hardy will have played 3 big villains in movies, which is kind of interesting. He's almost getting typecast now as villains.
Who's the third one?
Shinzon.
Oh.
Not comic book villains, but
a big villain.
But I don't mean big villain as in he's popular. I mean just the big villain of a piece. That's like that. I mean, he has a very super villainy looking costume in that. I'm just saying that Shinzon had to have had something to do with even thinking of him.
Nice costume.
Even thinking of him as Bane.
Well, and I mean, he's Mad Max next year. So he's not completely getting typecast. He's getting to do some other stuff.
That's true, yeah, and he is doing a lot of genre work now. So he is a go-to for genre stuff now. Anyway, let's go to some of these other people. Most of the rest of these actors,
The only one I
just don't know. Oh, what do you know her from?
I know her from Wolf of Wall Street,
Okay.
where I specifically walked out of that film and was like, oh, she was fine. I don't know why they cast her as... Like, one of the biggest problems with Wolf of Wall Street on my first viewing was I felt that she, as an actress, did not convey enough what I was supposed to be feeling about her.
So she's just kind of weak, huh?
Well, on a second viewing, I'm not sure. She's a really vapid character, and it might have been intentional, but my first viewing, I was like, I don't know if she's a victim or if she's also using this person who's kind of using her. I think she's fine. She's not who I would have cast, but that's the only thing I've ever seen her in.
Yeah.
You know, she's been in other things. I don't know. Maybe she'll be great. And personally, just based on the one thing I've seen her in, I don't see it, but I don't know.
You want somebody really over the top for that role, or at least I think you do, but they might completely reinvent the character for this more, like, you know, dark, brutish, serious
That is my biggest fear with the character, is going too big. Is having someone who's really trying to do like a really energetic performance and it just doesn't land.
That'd be bad too. Yeah. But all I'm saying is, can you imagine a non-jokey Harley Quinn? Could you,
yes.
Oh, you can.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't like Harley Quinn.
Oh.
I'm not sure if I've ever talked about this, but I feel like when Harley Quinn came to comics, she became completely pointless because most of the time in the comics, he's a complete insane sociopath, and the character from the cartoon would not hang out with that Joker.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like Harley should be darker, and I'm the only person that likes the New 52 take on her.
Oh, well, then you'll probably like this more, because I imagine that's more the direction they'll go with it.
And it's not even that I particularly like that version of her. It's just like, well, at least she's bad now. Like, at least she's...
Yeah.
She's
Although...
like, a subtler, more psychologically dark, obsessive character would be better, but...
I will say that the version you saw at the beginning of 52 in Suicide Squad is not exactly what they're writing now.
Oh, okay.
Because the more recent
That's the only
stuff...
place I've seen her.
Well... I don't know, the more recent stuff, it seems like they're kind of trying to make her... I've heard people say she's like DC's new Deadpool.
Oh, I don't like that.
And yeah, and I can kind of see that in places. They've made her a lot more like they're trying to do some kind of like hybrid where she's darker and she's more psychotic. So she's just like but it's almost like she's just a female version of the Joker, except that she seems a little bit more lucid. I don't know. I guess I read her Villain Month thing and immediately disliked that version because I didn't like that she was another super genius. I'm like, does she have to be a super genius?
Is she a super genius?
Yeah, she's a super genius in that.
Oh man, if you read that first arc of Suicide Squad, she is messed up, and there's some really interesting like personality disorder stuff going on there.
They tried to keep going with the personality disorder stuff, but a lot of it had to do with it's kind of hokey. I mean, a lot of it had to do, if memory serves, it's been a while since I've read that, but with her like going to school and then becoming a therapist and finding it all too easy, and somehow it being easy is what made her crazy. It was really strange.
Okay.
Anyway, so other castings. Boomerang is Jai Courtney. I don't know this guy from anything. He was in I guess the only thing I've seen him in is Divergent, which I absolutely loathed. He's Kyle Reese in Terminator Genisys, so we're about to see him play a major character.
And that movie looks good.
Yeah. That movie looks pointless but fun. That looks like a movie that nobody needed.
It looks better than the last two.
It
looks like Course Correction, the movie.
It does. And what I was going to say is, I look at Terminator Genisys and I'm like, if I wanted to watch T2, I could just go watch T2. But what I wouldn't get is older,
See, I
Arnold.
think it's T2. I think it's the, like... This is going to be the movie where there's going to be, like, time travel on time travel and like paradoxes and like being used. This is the Bill and Ted version of Terminator. It looks like.
Well, it's also the fix everything, right? It's the Star Trek and
it's exactly what it is.
Days of Future Past thing. I just said T2 because 25% of that trailer is we got the T1000 back. Look, we got the T1000 back.
It looks about as good as it did in '91.
It does. It holds up. Anyway, so I hope you've enjoyed our video about Terminator Genesis. And anyway, so he's in that. So but we'll get to, I don't know. We'll get to see him
within this video. They didn't expect it.
We'll get to, that's right. It's an Easter egg, if you will. You didn't even have to click on anything special to find it. So anyway, so who knows about that guy? I don't remember his performance in Divergent because everybody was kind of wooden in that. So I don't know. I did not know that, and I don't know this actress from anything, I did not know that there was a DC Enchantress.
I did because she is in Suicide Squad.
Oh, okay.
But I'd completely forgotten she existed until I clicked on it. So, like, this is what she did in Suicide Squad. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right, that character existed. But yeah, no, I actually had the same reaction when I first looked at it. I was like, there's a DC Enchantress?
Okay, so is that... Did they have to go for a somewhat obscure character that still had been involved in that property so that we didn't have just one female character, and so that the one female character we had wasn't the most psychotic thing? Is that probably why they did that? Because I'm running through characters and I cannot think of the A-list or more B-list character, or like B-plus list, if you will, character that ought to be in Suicide Squad that's also a female. I can't think of it.
It's not Suicide Squad, but Scandal Savage from Secret Six is a really good character. So I kind of wish they'd gone with her, but you know, what are you gonna do? Also, she's a lesbian, so I'm sure that would play well with audiences.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't know that. That probably has everything to do with why they did it, or maybe something to do with why they did it.
No, Scandal Savage.
Oh, I thought you meant Enchantress.
The character I'm saying should have been in it. I was like, oh, and she also is also lesbian, so that would.
Okay.
No, I have no idea.
I'm only saying that because it seems like they want to make these movies like really adult and stuff, and so I would not be surprised if they weren't like, hey, let's try to do like envelope pushing stuff. And then, okay, so does the fact that they're not calling him Captain Boomerang, does that bother you? He's just Boomerang. Well, so far they've just called him Boomerang. They might add the Captain thing.
As long as they don't call him CB, I'm fine.
Then he's just the thing that truckers use when they're on the road about to go get some barbecue.
Because I read Boomerang, and I think in my head I just put Captain in front of it.
It doesn't bother me, really, except that it makes me wonder if... I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing if they decided to just call him Boomerang, if in the context of their movie it just makes more sense than maybe in the context it would seem a little bit too hokey. At the same time, there seems to be this skirting a line of using characters that have been really hokey before, but trying to make them as dark and realistic as possible, and
See, I feel like
they could make a thing, they don't know what it is.
Captain off makes it less silly, but when you actually think about it, if it was any other weapon, it would sound ridiculous. If his name was Knife or Axe, it would be dumb. This is not better.
Yeah, okay. I can kind of see that. Once again, I can't get the Arrow version out of my head now, who's just, like, really scary.
I haven't watched the episode yet, but he was really cool at the end of last week's episode.
There is nothing even remotely hokey about it. He is terrifying. He makes me afraid of boomerangs. Like, if anybody ever, like, those are scary.
I've always been afraid of them because I can't control them, and I'm afraid they're going to hit me in the head.
Those are scary. Okay, so the last thing we should probably talk about is the big rumor for who, and this I think is actually not a rumor.
It's not a rumor. I think it's 3 people being looked at. Being discussed with, contracted with, whatever.
For Amanda Waller. Yeah, so Warner Brothers really wants Oprah for Amanda Waller. And if they can make this happen, the world has changed. I would never in a million years expected to see Oprah Winfrey in a role like that. First of all, she's perfect. That would be amazing.
Yeah,
that would be amazing. But I can't see it happening. Okay, so back in the late 90s, I think I've shared this on camera before, but it's relevant, so I'll say it again. Back in the late 90s, I saw this VH1 special that was like the top 50 American icons of all time. And Oprah, for the number one spot, beat out Superman for second place. Oprah was first place and Superman was second. Oprah in a Suicide Squad, my brain will explode.
Not even a famous property.
Yeah.
It's not like she was in. It's not like she was in Man of Steel. She wasn't Martha Kent.
Yeah,
Which actually might not have been that cast either. But
that would have been really interesting.
Oh no, my computer's about to die.
What do you mean?
I mean, my computer's about to die.
Oh, okay, well, we'll wrap this up really super fast then. His computer died. Okay, well, that might be all we get from Eric. So, anyway, thanks everybody for watching. I sure appreciate it. I guess I'll really quickly wrap up this whole Amanda Waller thing and just say that I think she's perfect for it. Obviously, she's an actress. She's been in a lot of stuff lately. I have obviously not really seen a lot of the stuff she's been in, and I don't know that I immediately imagine her doing Menacing, but I mean, if she can do if she can pull that off, I just think that she's potentially perfect casting choice, because if you're playing Amanda Waller, you've got to have that like really assertive, no nonsense, not afraid to do what it takes, that whole like ends justifies the means mentality, and considering that that's the exact opposite of who she seems to be in real life, like, you know, when you watch the Oprah show and stuff, it'd be really cool to see if she can pull that off. Anyway, I thanks a lot for watching, and I'm glad we got Eric for most of this, talking about his feelings about the Suicide Squad casting. What do you folks think about this? Leave your comments, let us know. And in the meantime, I'm Captain Logan, and I'll see you again really soon.